Yay, we're welcome. Well, welcome. Ken and I are a little late today. We were talking about how important English class is because just a bit ago I put on Facebook, what do you think, in your opinion, are the best ways that you can learn English? And I have one-on-one classes, for example, private lessons, something about groups, or online. Not online classes specifically like this one, but online courses, where you learn the grammar. You start from like a basic level and go up, or something like that. Um, so, or etc. If you have any other opinions, that would be great to know too. It's just, because every person has their own style and what works for them. So, Ken, you were explaining to me that online classes have worked for you. And Ken's been doing this for so long, Wi-Fi barely existed. So tell us your experience. I mean, how did you get into learning English online instead of in person? Because you were saying something about 10 years ago. That's crazy.
Maybe I found online class things maybe right after it started. So, and then I thought it is pretty convenient also. Not not only the convenience, or I can communicate with a lot of different style of English. So it's very practical because in the world many people are using English to communicate with. So to understand a variety of English means I can communicate with many different people from all over the world. So
Exactly. Well, and Ken and I shared stories about our experiences with someone who doesn't speak English. And for me, if you don't speak Spanish or English, I'm probably not going to be able to help you very much. And my experience was with some French people that were here just on Friday, and I wasn't able to help them. Yeah. What do you do? I felt terrible. I don't speak French and they don't speak really Spanish or English. And it's like, so, but it is what it is. And Ken had his experience when he was living in the United States. He got a phone call from one of his roommate's moms. So, and she didn't speak English very well. So, that happens, but life continues, so I want to reinforce that English is so important. And I have to say, I'm so very lucky to be a native speaker. And I never knew that until I moved to Spain, until I actually realized how important English is in the world, how many people speak it as a second or even third language, or even fourth, I'm sure, and how difficult it is at the same time. There's a lot of things that I've realized that in English, there's no rules. This is what it is. Sorry. And I don't know why. I don't know how. I don't know. But all I have to say is, if you're ever frustrated with the language, just continue, because it's going to be worth it. Never give up, because you'll hit this plateau. That happens when you're losing weight too. You always hit this plateau. You think, I'm not improving or doing anything. Nothing's working. It is. It's just you're maintaining the weight or the language or something for a little while, and then later you'll see more results. A lot of people think, they learn the present simple. Oh yeah, this is easy. I got this. Then they start to learn the past and the future and all of these other tenses, and like, whoa, I know nothing. This is one of those levels where it's like you're actually conscious of how big the English world is and everything that's involved. When we're all learning the present tense of any language, like, oh yeah, this is so easy. I got this. That happened to me in Spanish. It's like, gosh, Spanish is so much easier than English. It's not. It's actually more difficult. And I didn't realize that until I actually understood the language more. So it's quite the experience. It really is. So, Ken, do you have anything to add?
Yes, I think longer study is a lifelong study. No ending, actually.
Exactly.
Yes.
I'll never be bilingual. I'm okay with that. The official bilingual is that you're able to express yourself in both languages perfectly. I can do it pretty well in Spanish, but it's still not to the same extent. There's still words that I don't understand. There's still words I can't pronounce very good. Like you said,
Also,
it's a lifelong process.
also sometimes I translate, the both language, Japanese, English, English, Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
Also interpret, and
Mm-hmm.
at that time especially the interpret by oral interpretation. I always search in a proper Japanese word in a short sentence. It
Mm-hmm.
brightens my Japanese sense as well, actually.
Absolutely.
Different language, which means sometimes to know my native language too.
Yep, exactly. No, I know what you mean. So everything is little by little. All right. And so with that, let's go ahead and get started with our class for today. All right. So let me go ahead and look for the document. Everything's going slow. I think I need to clean my computer again. I need to do it like every day. So, all right. Today we're going to talk about job shadowing. All right. So first, job shadowing. As you can see, we'll answer that later as we have what is it down here. But job shadowing, what is it? What do you know about it?
I know shadowing for English, kind of master another language, other languages, like to mimic what English speakers saying. That's shadowing for English learning. But job,
Okay.
I don't know, job shadowing. Maybe to
Well,
mimic. That's,
well, that's a good idea. Yeah, sure. It's kind of like that. So, job shadowing, and well, first, what I want to say is the word shadow. Do you know what the word shadow is?
shadow is dark side of the reflection. I don't know.
Not in a scary way or a negative way. For example, the sun is shining and you can see the shadow of the tree. It's the black part.
That's right.
The dark side. The dark side sounds negative. All right, let's not confuse that today.
Like Star
Good
Wars.
thing you have me. Like, no, I'm just kidding. But a shadow, yes, is the opposite reflection of the sun. I don't know what it should be.
Mhm.
Um, so yes, so this is in this case, the shadow actually mimics the real object, right?
Mhm.
So you're in the right area. So what's going on here is, are you ready to read this? Uh-oh, you can barely see it. Uh-oh. I'll have to move it down a little bit. Okay. Do you want to
Okay.
read this, Ken?
Yes.
Okay.
Shadowing is when a new employee or current employee is going to train in a new position. This way, they get to learn the job with someone who has more experience than them, seniority. This is really important for the person training as they can ask specific questions in the moment during the training. The other employee with the seniority can tell them tricks or some inside information on how to do the job better or even more efficiently.
Okay. So, very good. So, what did you just read? What is this? I think the most important part is a new employee or current employee is going to train in a new position. To me,
Mhm.
this is the most important.
Mhm. Okay.
So, as you said, it's similar to mimic, to imitate someone to do the same thing as someone else. But in
Mhm.
this case, it's with a job. And so, how do you do that? Well, it's to teach someone else how to do something.
Mhm.
And how do you do that? Is they mimic you, they shadow you, they follow you around,
Mm.
and they do the job with you.
Okay, yeah, sometimes I saw, yeah, such people in a cashier in a supermarket.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. For example, do you have or have you ever seen, this completely depends, on the job. I think it's called The Boss, or like The Boss, where the president of the company or someone who's really high up actually goes undercover and they pretend that they're just a normal employee trying to learn the job. And then at
Oh,
the end, the boss comes out and tells the people he worked with, or he or she worked with, and says, "Hey, I'm not that person. I'm the CEO of the company." And does that sound familiar to you? It's like undercover boss, I think is what it's called in English.
that's okay.
So
That's
anyway, what the boss actually does is they have it here in Spain too. So I didn't know if it was in other countries or not, but what the CEO of the company actually does is literally disguises themselves. They put on a wig, they
Mhm,
change their hair. I mean, if men and women both, so they don't look like their actual person.
mhm,
And so when they don't look like themselves, then the employees won't notice who they are because they're the company, the boss of the company.
mhm,
And so what they'll do is they'll go and work with probably 3 or 4, maybe 5 different people in different positions, in different departments of the business. Maybe it's the marketing, maybe it's the plant, like the factory where they make the products, maybe it's
mhm,
delivery, maybe it's, there's a lot of different parts. And so they'll say, hey, yeah, I'm doing this program about whatever job. And so they're telling them these lies. And so the boss, the CEO of the company, actually gets to work with these people. And then at the end, the boss actually rewards them with, financial, well, with benefits,
mhm,
um, or helps them pay for their kids' college, stuff like that. It's a really touching.
mhm,
If you're a crier, don't watch the show. But no, it's really, really good. It's giving back to the community and those who need it.
mhm,
But anyway, what the boss is actually doing is, they're job shadowing. They're following around the other employee
mhm,
and to see what they have to do at the job.
mhm,
And which is really good because they get the experience
mhm,
with someone who's been there for a long time. And this is seniority, which we looked at the other week. All right. So this everything comes together in English class and business. Okay. Let's see. It's really important. Oh, yes, because during the fact that they're training, they can ask specific questions and say, well, you told me to do this, but why? Why can't I do this? And so you can challenge and learn in the moment because, for example, if you tell me, do this, this, and this,
mhm,
well, I'm going to do that. But what happens if, something else happens and it's not exactly one and not exactly the other? There's always exceptions, as we know.
mhm,
And so if I don't know what to do, I might panic or I might do something incorrect. And so it's best to get that experience and challenge, ask questions. Why
mhm,
do you have to do this and why can't I do this? Just
mhm.
in case. Maybe
Right.
it's, the law of the company, maybe it's because it's a personal choice,
Mhm.
etc. Okay. Then I have the word tricks here. What are different tricks that people can learn, Ken?
Tricks. Mm, some info. Maybe difficult part of the job or the task. Hmm? I don't know.
Uh, Mm. Do you know the word? Do you know the word a shortcut?
Ah, I got it. Yes. Kind of knack. Good knack of doing the task.
Exactly. A shortcut is a quicker way of doing something. And not that you have to skip steps or miss something or do something differently, but it's tricks. Hey, instead of doing this, well, just do this right away. For
Right.
example,
Mhm,
Um, for example, if you're delivering something and you have to give the people their ticket, their receipt when you
mhm,
get there, well, write it out before you get there with the order information that you have. So
mhm,
when you arrive, you don't have to sit in your truck very long. You don't have to wait outside. You don't have to make the customer wait, for
mhm,
example, because at the end of the day, you're going to have to give them their receipt. There's
mhm,
no other answer. You have to give it to them.
mhm. Right.
So it's things like that. It's, hey, you should do this first, and then later you don't have to. So it's saving time in a different way. eventually you'll have to spend those 5 minutes before or after or during the delivery. But if you do it before, then the customer doesn't have to wait. And that's really nice. So, yep, here you go. Here's this. Is it okay? Perfect. Bye-bye. So those are the tricks. It's to do things maybe easier, faster, more efficient. It's those kinds of things. Okay. So inside information is basically the same thing. Little, pieces of information that are good to know. You say, oh, okay, well, this person here, this person, when we drop their products off, they like it when we do this, for example. So it's because everyone has their own personal way of doing things. Then the person training can tell the other person this information. Is this helping you? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay. Or just in general, how to do the job better or even more efficiently. Okay, like I was saying. So any questions with this so far? This is the basics of training, of job shadowing to train.
No, thank you.
Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do is go, oops, my computer's frozen. Oh, okay. So now what we're going to do, excuse me, as I was telling Ken, my allergies are terrible today. My cat decided to wake me up at 5 o'clock this morning for food. Can you imagine?
Oh my gosh.
She's obsessed with food, mind you. But anyway, so yes, that's fine. So anyway, she was sleeping by me for the next, 2.5 hours before I had to wake up. And so because I'm allergic to cats, my allergies are pretty bad today. Oh, life. Okay, so now what we're going to do is look at other typical jobs where we see job shadowing used in the training process. Okay, so actually, I will read these. All right. So we have manufacturing jobs, supervisors, quality control inspectors, skilled trade employees, machine operators, tool makers, machinists, etc. Okay. And these manufacturing jobs are in plants. They're in factories. Okay. Do you have any questions about these? I mean, these are pretty specific, but...
No, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean,
Yes.
supervisors are like managers. They supervise. The verb comes from the noun or vice versa. People who inspect. The skilled trade employees where they're trained in a specific area, such as welding, or I don't know, what's that? The forklift. They can drive the forklift, or they can drive a truck. There's special skills that not everyone has. The machine operators, those who operate obviously the machines, people who make tools, and machinists. All right. So if I move on here, we can go to in the medical field. Do you want to read these? I mean, these are difficult to pronounce. You're more than welcome to try.
Okay. In the middle of in the medical field.
In the midfield football now. In the medical field.
Physical occupational therapist, nurses, physicians, radiologists, surgeons, etc.
Okay. Quite difficult, right? Let me read these again for you. So physical and occupational therapists. I actually didn't hear you pronounce this S. So therapists. Do you want to try?
Therapist.
Thank you. Nurses, physicians, radiologists, and surgeons. Yes. So all of these people work in the medical field. It could be at hospitals, it could be at clinics, it could be at, lots of different places, but they're all related to medicine. Okay. So if I move on. Okay, so this document doesn't like my word busser. I think it's because it's very colloquial, but that's fine. So why don't you read the restaurant employees?
Okay. Restaurant employees serves, bartenders, cooks, chefs, uh, bussers, cashiers, hosts, etc.
All right. So lots of good vocabulary words here. Oh, servers. Okay, so servers are the waiters and waitresses. That's another word for them. Then we have bartenders, those who make drinks, alcoholic drinks, for those of us who drink them. People who cook. What's the difference between a cook and a chef?
Maybe chief of the cooks uh, is chef.
Okay, yeah, I like that. So chefs are higher up than cooks.
Right.
I think chefs also kind of have some kind of degree or cooking
Mhm.
knowledge more than just in the kitchen experience. And I think cooks they don't need to have schooling in order to become cooks. Okay.
Okay.
So that's fine. Chefs, bussers. Do you know what a busser is?
I don't know.
It has nothing to do with a bus.
Bus.
Well, I shouldn't say that. What happens is a busser is someone who cleans the tables. I actually started out working in a restaurant when I was 15 and a half. I started as a busser. What I did is I bussed this is the verb to bust tables.
Mhm.
Okay. So I cleaned the tables, that's all. I took off all the dishes and then I wiped the table with, a washcloth. What's that called? So it was clean for the next customers.
Mhm.
Cashier is someone who takes your money and helps you pay for your bills when you go out to a restaurant. And then a
Mhm.
host. Do you know what a host is? Host has a couple different meanings.
Maybe some restaurant has a person who guide the customers to the table.
Exactly. Thank you very much. And what's okay, so this is in the restaurant world. What happens in the real world with hosts? Do you know when we use the word hosts?
Like host uh, of the party.
Exactly. When someone hosts a party, maybe it's my birthday and Ken wants to have a party for me. Ken's the host of the party then.
Mhm.
Cool. Thanks, Ken. You have 3 months. Actually, in 3 months. Oh, I'll be in Wisconsin in 3 months. That's crazy. Okay, good. So host. So yeah, so when I worked at the restaurant, I first started out as a busser. Then I went to be a host, and then I became a server.
Mhm.
After that, sure, you become a manager, boss, etc., etc.
I see.
Moving on. So administration. Oh, I forgot my line over here. That's terrible. There we go. Okay. So administration, employees. For example, Ken.
Okay. Receptionist, administrative assistants, secretaries, etc.
Exactly. All right. So receptionists, administration employees, receptionists, for example, at a hotel, like my husband is a receptionist at a hotel. He takes care of all of the paperwork and things, the phone calls, the bookings, the reservations. That's the word I was looking for, reservations. Administrative assistants and secretaries. Do you know if there's a difference? I'm actually kind of asking you that question. Administrative assistants and secretaries. Okay, I actually do understand the difference. What do you understand, Ken, as the difference?
I know secretaries, but administrative assistants. I don't know.
You want me to help, or do you want to call a friend? You watch Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Did you that TV show? Who
Yeah,
Wants to
I
Be a
know the show.
Millionaire? Okay, all right. That was funny. Okay, so a secretary is someone who works maybe at the front of the business. Um, when you go in or you call or something, she can answer you. She can direct you to what department you need, to the right person you need, etc., etc. All right. She does a lot of things, but nothing super detailed. She can um I don't know how to say this. It's like light work, light
Mhm.
paperwork.
Mhm.
Um, and like I said, transfer you on the phone to which department you need. Now, administrative assistants, as far as I'm concerned, for example, are an assistant to a boss. Maybe it's the vice president. He has an administrative assistant in which assists him
Mhm.
only. For example, plans his meetings, his lunch dates, dinner dates, meetings or phone calls or conference calls, something like that. So that could be an administrative assistant. So a secretary is more general.
Mhm.
An administrative assistant basically is the same as a secretary, but for one specific person.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
So secretaries sometimes working for several persons, you mean? Several people?
To me, they work at like the front of the business.
Mm-hmm.
Let me look this up. Administrative assistant. Actually, from okay. So, an administrative assistant actually has more responsibility than a secretary does. And that's what I was saying with the administrative assistant. They have to plan meetings, conference calls, phone calls, lunch dates, those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Secretaries, they greet people when they come into the business. Like I said, they're at the front of
Mm-hmm.
the business. They answer the phone calls, they can take messages, they have to make other appointments, for example, lots of paperwork,
Mm-hmm.
very basic things.
Okay.
Okay. Secretaries also could work directly with an administrative assistant, in which the administrative assistant then works with the boss.
Um,
Okay. Or it could be that the secretary works directly with the boss. That depends.
mhm.
Okay. Probably depends on the I don't know, the importance of the person. I don't know.
Mm.
For that. So good. Let's see. And then for an administrative assistant, they do basically all of the same things as a secretary, but they also do more in-depth things. So that's basically it.
I see.
That's it. I don't know. Is that enough? Do you want more?
No. Thank you.
Perfect. All right. Well, now that we're making me think a lot today, let's go down and you can read these words, okay?
Okay. Is skilled trade workers, carpenters, plumbers, painters, woodworkers, electricians, heating and cooling technicians, etc.
Okay. So, with this, skilled trade workers, as we said before, they're focused on one area. All right. So when we have carpenters, what do carpenters focus on?
Building house.
Okay. Yep. Sure. Building houses is fine. What about plumbers?
Plumbers fixing pipes.
Or they put, uh, or I'm trying to debate with you here. Plumbers can also build, not build houses, but plumbers can put in pipes in an, excuse me, in a new house, for example.
Yeah.
All right, good. Painters?
They paint
They
wall.
do
Paint
paint,
wall.
don't they? They paint everything. And what about woodworkers? What's the difference between a carpenter and a woodworker? Challenge of the day, Ken?
I think woodworkers are making maybe cutting tree or making furniture. That's
Okay. I like the making furniture part. I actually, if I had to say the difference between a carpenter and a woodworker, is a carpenter is someone, as you said, who builds houses. They build cabinets. There's furniture, there's big pieces of wood involved. Okay. And for example, a woodworker is someone who works more intricate with wood. Do you know what crown molding is?
I don't know, clamorousness.
It's very specific. For example, okay, let me try and explain this. You have walls and a ceiling inside your house, right?
Yes.
In the United States, a lot of people put a piece of wood in between, well, in the corner of this, do you know what I mean? At the top of the wall, and it
Mm,
touches the wall and the ceiling. That's called crown molding. It's to make the house look pretty, basically.
I see. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I would say it's more intricate things like that. Making chairs with delicate designs,
Mm-hmm.
making, let's say, wood boxes, things like that, in which a lot of skill is involved. With carpenters, it's, big pieces of wood that make big pieces of things, houses and furniture.
Mm-hmm.
And woodworkers is more delicate. Okay. Oof. All right. Any other questions with this?
No, thank you.
All right, good. So, what we'll do then is continue on. Why is job shadowing important? Why don't you go ahead and read this, okay?
Okay. Jobs require employees to be trained correctly when moving to a higher role. So if the employee doesn't have the experience, they might not be able to perform the job properly.
Good. So that's basically it. It's just to make sure that they have the correct experience in order to do their job correctly. Because if not, disaster.
Mm, yeah.
Now, do you
Mhm.
have an opinion about this?
Yeah, it's important. Yes.
Have you ever job shadowed?
Yeah. hmm So
Do you think it helped you?
yeah, I think so because at the beginning, I know nothing about that job.
Yeah,
I knew that.
everyone's a little lost at the beginning. Yeah.
Also, some company, offer the manual kind of thing, like
Mm-hmm.
like fast food store or convenience store. They usually use manual. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
but
Good.
especially convenience store here is worker job is getting more and more. You know that because service expand a lot of different things. So
Mm-hmm.
even though they have a manual, it's not easy to remember the all service of the shop, I think.
Yeah,
Mm.
exactly. So, it's also it goes to that whole, to me, something visual is easier for me to understand and remember versus something that is just told to me.
Mhm.
It's actually I think experience. This is actually a good topic. What's more important, experience in the area or going to college?
For the working.
Yeah, for a job. I think
Ah,
I spent 4.5, was it 4.5? 4.5 years at college, and I don't think that I actually was prepared for the world any more than I was before. I don't know. But what would you think?
actually, the university or college, the purpose of university or college at the beginning, originally the kind of institution for research, not for job training. However, nowadays,
Okay, Ken, want to point
some
there? That's fine.
university or college offer a kind of job training thing because of the demand of the students.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. I mean, a lot of things, for example, when you study medicine, of course, you have to have, or nursing, you have to have a lot of information. That's normal.
Right.
But at the same time, you also need the experience. You can't just learn how to do an open heart surgery and then just do it one time without seeing someone else do it. I mean, you could try. I wouldn't want you to do it on me, but that's just me. So I think, I mean, obviously both are important, but honestly, if I had to choose either, for example, job shadowing or the experience of a job or studying the job, I would prefer the experience.
Mm.
It's just like English, for example, for you or Spanish for me, it's I studied Spanish for 20 years. or I
Mm,
have. I've been in the Spanish world for about 20 years.
mhm,
Well, probably longer. But really, what's helped me is being in the situation where I speak Spanish every day.
mm.
So, that 1 hour a day, three
Right.
times a week really was nothing compared to, I mean, one day here.
Mm,
So, I mean, to me, the experience is much more important. However, yes, of course, I think college is important for certain things. But at the end of the day, I think college eventually could be eliminated. We could just go kind of directly to, not, I don't want to say it like that. Maybe we could do the theory portion
mhm,
of it and focus more directly on that,
mhm,
and then do the practice more intensely, not I don't know, it's confusing. Really depends on the topic as well and what subject you're studying. So anyway, with that debate, let's continue because there's some more information here. Okay, so do you want to read?
Okay. For example, in a company, if the vice president is going to become the president, he or she must job shadow. If not, just having a list of things to do isn't enough. There is a lot more to being the president than just signing paychecks.
Mm-hmm. So again, this is the experience. The vice president and the president will have different jobs, and so if the president is going to retire, well, the vice president is going to take over. So the
Mhm,
vice president must follow or job shadow the president in order to know what he or she actually does. Um,
mhm,
as I said, it's presidents just don't sign paychecks for people. No, they do a lot more than that. So, any questions here?
mm. Sometimes it's true, but sometimes it's not, probably.
Yeah. I mean, probably someone just sits back and earns money. Oh, that would be amazing.
I mean, the president. I don't know about the actual situation of the fact. How about Apple? Uh, Before the new president, you know, w- start work as a president. Uh, I'm not sure whether he was doing these things with Steve Jobs.
uh, well, that I don't keep up with Apple. I'm not an Apple follower, so sorry, I don't know either. But they should, they should.
I see.
All right. Anyway, so continuing on. What's this next part say?
Okay. Also, by having this way of training, the next person to be in the position will be more comfortable and confident in the position, and in the end, do it better.
Right? I mean, this to me is like fact.
Mhm,
If you have someone who has the experience or at least has worked with someone in that field for, let's say, a week, 2 weeks, they're going to understand it a lot better. And normally, I'd say for big companies, it's probably about 2 weeks.
mhm.
So, comments, questions, agree, disagree? What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Also, teachers, well, to get teaching license. In the past, we need to go for the teaching training 2 weeks, but now, one month here.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of things to learn when you are becoming a teacher too. Me, for example, I actually learned how to be a teacher in my studies. Are from online. It's from an online course. One, it was a lot cheaper. Two, it was a lot of information, and to me, that information was helpful because that's what I have to do. When do we use the present simple? Well, we use it in this case. And how do you conjugate the verbs? Well, we do it like this. So to me, learning that way was enough. Now, teaching in a school, academy, whatever, was like I didn't have any practice. And so I just kind of had to learn how to do it for
Mhm,
good and the bad. Like I'm sure I made some mistakes. I didn't know how to control the kids. They were very young, like 3 to 4 years old.
mhm.
Um, And I didn't know enough Spanish to help defend me and, actually say the correct thing when say, no, stop that. Don't eat that eraser, child. Um, yeah, no, the kid was telling me, like, I didn't eat it. And like, you have like crumbs, eraser crumbs on your face, kid. I know you're
Mm.
eating it. And, he's like, no, I didn't. I'm like, yes, you did. And it happened twice in the same day. Like, it was terrible. So I told the dad, and the dad took care of it. But, it's like, come on, kid. I'm trying to save your life so you don't have an intestinal blockage. So things like that, that I wasn't prepared for that. So all I had to do is to go on my experience in that field as I was a child, what I think is working, kind of parent. So anyway, so good. And continue, please.
Okay. This is also common in a manual labor position, such as in the manufacturing business. Line managers cannot just become line managers. They must be trained properly, so the final product is made correctly.
Okay. So I don't know if you know what a line manager is. Basically, when you work on an assembly line like I did years and years and years ago, a line manager is someone who knows all of the jobs on the line to produce a product. Okay. So maybe one person puts a sticker on, the next person does this next person, it just depends. There's a lot of different things. And so the line manager is important in this case because if someone is sick that day, they can fill in, etc. Okay. So they need a lot of training. All right. Why don't you read this and I'll have to move this down, okay?
Okay. Also, the need to know everything about the product just in case something is wrong. He or she must be able to find the mistake and fix it. So solving a problem quickly is important too, as the other line workers might not be able to produce the same amount of products needed or expected in one day. If this happens, production is down and could create problems. If there is a sudden increase in the consumer market, many people are buying it more than expected.
Okay. So again, the line manager is important for many reasons, and just here are some of the reasons. Do you have any questions about anything?
I I heard the other day nowadays some factory, robots making product and the human, checking the product after
Mhm.
that, like line manager. And I was thinking, could be in the future, robot check as well.
I actually trust robots more than humans.
I see.
Because if they're programmed to do something, they're going to do it, unless something goes wrong, obviously. But I would think that a robot is more reliable than a human being as far as building cars, even. I remember years ago, I think a car company said that the employees were going to be replaced with robots. Um, and honestly, there's a lot of human error. I know I worked on an assembly line. If I
Mhm.
miss one thing, the next person doesn't see it. And then it gets down to the tester, and the tester says, hey, something's wrong. Well, we need to figure out what it is. And maybe you were talking to someone, maybe you accidentally missed it, maybe you thought you put it on and you didn't. So there's a lot of things that could happen with human error. So this is the last part, so why don't you read this to finish the day, okay?
Okay. Basically, one thing leads to another, so it's very important for everything to run smoothly, which is the line manager's responsibility.
Exactly. So again, it kind of everything comes down to them, and they're the ones that are responsible for if a machine doesn't work. Well, why? What's wrong? They are the ones that have to figure it out and, fix it so then it can be ready to sell. Any questions with this?
No,
Comments? Okay.
No. Thank you.
Well, no, that's fine. That's fine. That's good. So, what we're going to do is stop because it's almost time here. And I'm just going to mention, I think next time I'm going to be working on vowel sounds. Let's just double check here. Wednesday, June 13th. Ooh, it's my friend's birthday. Uh, so let's see. Yep. So basically, I don't know how I'm going to do this yet. I know what I want to do, but it's actually going to be a little difficult on this, how I want to do it. So I have to figure out what I'm going to do. It's going to be interactive is what I'm going to say. I might not have a lot prepared on a piece of paper when we start class, but it will be more of the process. Okay. That's going to be the important part. So it should be interesting. It's difficult. It might not be easy to understand. I know what I'm trying to say, so hopefully it goes well. And as you know, there's always exceptions in English, which isn't good for anybody. So I'll do my best.
Thank you. Yes.
Perfect. Well, very good. Well, then, Ken, you have a good day. Stay out of the rain. Take your umbrella or go to bed very soon. Actually, it's Monday, so you go to bed. You have a couple more hours, but thanks for coming. Thanks for reading, and hopefully we'll see you on Wednesday. All right. Vowel pronunciation.
Okay. Thank you very
All
much.
right. You're welcome. Bye.